What the? Strange. Strange. Doing weird things. Johnny, do you hate me? Interesting way to start. What is the mic? Why is it doing this? What is it doing? Why is it making noise when there's no noise? I don't think it is. I think it's doing some strange things. All sweet here, good. No worries. Is it not making weird noises? It's registering weird things. Close trigger. What's going on? No times through, just to annoy me, but we'll charge on. Yeah, I wonder. Drop it back a bit. G'day, Laney. Yeah, it was a bit of a weird day, Rosehill. Actually firm on the fast side of I was probably on the 3 side around the circle, and then slower from the chute, sort of 4.5. So, yeah, a little weird. Nearly like there was heavy winds, but there wasn't. Fence was obviously off. That obviously affected the pattern of the day. Only one fast run race 2. The rest of them pretty steady to slowly run, so it was a bit of an icky day. We'll get straight into it because it's not that exciting, I don't think. And the early races certainly weren't. Anyhow, let's go.
Mr. Tander at Rosehill Garden.
Race one's a midway. So good to go. I think this is a very steady race.
On a very warm day in Western Sydney, we're ready to go. And the gates are back, they're off, and Ewan jumped out well under a right.
Very steady race here, and there was just no real explanation for why the fence was so bad here. There was no irrigation for the entire week, apparently. So usually when we get that and a drying track, you usually get the fence is not too bad. Back to the rail true, they normally get 3 or 4 off. They were sort of heading 8, 10, 12 off in the straight on Saturday, especially come later in the day. So a little bit weird. Here it's a controlled tempo. I thought Braith did the wrong thing on this particular horse, trying to restrain it. I thought the outside draw would really help him, and once he got to the front, I thought he'd just let this horse run along. It's been let run along its last couple of starts and really done a good job, sort of even stronger fractions seems to be its go, slowing it down and bringing the rest of the field back into the fight. Sort of played against it here. I'm not saying it was a good thing beat or anything by any stretch, but when you see on the line, he actually is probably arguably stronger. So the winner's back here, so good, so cool. Yeah, I'd be very wary of these horses. They obviously get to the right part of the track. It's unknown at this stage how strong that is. So, I think these horses are certainly flattered. They got to the right part, sort of arty bets, and so good, so cool. Said I think the leader was ridden not poorly, but not to advantage. Gluth and Tane, whatever the name of this thing is here, is just horribly strung up. it's just a messy, smelly race overall. It just reeks with, Salasano's probably not at its best. He never wins. Back to the inside, One Destiny or whatever it's called. So, yeah, it's just an ugly, ugly race where I'd much rather be negative towards the winner and the Artie Betts who gets to the outside here than I would usually, especially against a softish tempo coming from the back of the field. But you can see they go past a pack of runners. This horse is unlucky. This horse is coming again on the line. Unlucky, back towards the wrong part of the track. So they've all got excuses. And they've sort of just landed in the right spot at the right time. So, yeah, I think this race is pretty poor. I don't think there's a horse in this race I'd be wanting to find in a similar race with much confidence going forward. And, there might be a bit of an advantage in these horses coming up a little bit shorter than they should next time out. Brendan, I don't know. Just again, it depends how much you can. How do you know? Unless you're there, it's all tin hat stuff. But the last few, there's been a couple of meetings where they've really got way off the inside and from the start of the day. So it's obviously noticeably soft on the inside there. I don't know why, if there's been a change or what. You really don't know as a punter until you get to see a race or two what the heck's going on. It's really tricky there at the moment. Usually Rosehill's super consistent and it's lost that completely. So, yeah, I would imagine, to be safe, up and off. So up towards the speed and off the fence in the straight is probably the bomb-proof horse if you want to go looking for something early. If you're going to be backing inside or drawn inside and relying on luck to get to the better part of the track potentially, it's pretty dangerous. And if we get tempos like we saw here where they all just sit up, it's hard to come from the back as well. A few horses did it, but it's pretty tricky. Why no irrigation? Because it rained. It is playing like Tamworth, and there's countless tracks playing in that fashion now, isn't there? It's crazy, all these silly cutaway rails they're putting in. So many tracks playing where they're just they're just ignoring the fence, and especially in the rail true, which is why should that be the case? It's you think they should be looking into that rather than being addicted to moving rails and cutaway rails and whatever. How about just trying to work out what the hell's going on? But Rosehill especially is a bit funky at the moment. Why would they irrigate when it rains, buddy? Don't get it. They irrigate when it's dry. G'day, Posty. So, race 1. No, I don't understand. I'm asking you a question. Why would they irrigate if it's wet? Fast pressure bug races at Rosehill. Flippers and Golden Eagle have a super high strike rate for FIR. Why do they irrigate when it's wet? Race 2. This is the only fast run of the day, fast race of the day, and again I think it's pretty smelly, pretty average race. The time overall's okay, but it's off a fast time, off a fast lead time, fast tempo, and we got some decent times during the day. So I think the track actually was quite quick, and this race doesn't run fast time off an extraordinary, a lot faster tempo than most of the other races. So again, very wary. Not picking on Schumacher, but it's good to see her back up on the leader here on Father's Day with the blinkers on, setting the one fast speed for the day. What sort of makes this race really smelly for me is a horse like Fewsome Fred not beaten far. And you see he's actually keen in the run, over racing, overdoing it, and not beaten far in a pretty average race. Perfect play, ends up sitting outside leader and working. Vega Magnificus is behind the leader, finishes out the back. Lincoln Rock showed a little bit of a return to form. I don't think it's diabolical race, but it's one of these take turns races where these horses just go round and round, and usually there's a different winner every week. And this is certainly not a race that looks full of upside. You've got All in the Mind probably should have won it. The horse here of Björn's back in the middle is very unlucky up the running. Here, held up, tries to go the outside, ends up going back to the inside of Fewsome Fred after it's checked there by the old Kapakiri, who's a vintage runner in these sorts of races. King of Thunder just got the right run through. Sort of King of Thunder's here, does nothing in the run, pokes through, and sorry, this is it here in the blue cap. Pardon me. So it's 3 fence, which is probably, you know, close enough to an ideal position. He was only second up, I think. So King of Thunder, so he's probably the one horse that does have upside. I'd probably take that statement back, and because he's only very lightly raced, I think he only was second up here, so he is the one horse with upside. But this race has got warning signs all over it that it's not much good. Again, bunch margins, leader that's gone hard, dropping out, 6-7 across the track. The winner is, you could call it dominant, but probably shouldn't have been. Yeah, he's an interesting horse. I'm assuming he's on the way to a derby. Yeah, so he's second up 14 to 1900. I'm definitely not going to knock him. And he's only had, 6 or 7 starts. So he's interesting, but yeah, I wouldn't be overplaying that win. Why Woderson's favourite for the slipper? I was just looking at a quick look there before. What the heck's going on there? He won't run. I think just the derby's looking like it's a decent derby, to be fair. I think that horse coming over from New Zealand, will he do it? There's quite a few interesting runners heading towards the derby that are sort of shaping up okay. So, yeah, I'm not saying he can't win the derby, but I think he needs to find quite a bit more. Beaten 4.5, 5 lengths in the Vic Derby in the spring. There's a fair way to go. It's a pass mark, I'd say, to be fair, even though the setup's not great and it was open grade. I think it's a pass mark because I think a lot went his way. Jesus, Randy, big week for you. Big week for you. That horse has just been under the radar the whole way, right? So, incredible. Yeah, incredible. I will have a look. Gold Rush Guru Immoral. I wish I had one last start. Pago Skyhook. So this horse just melted in the yard. Obviously had an issue prior and fell over or something like that, and had some abrasions, and then got really warm in the parade and sort of melted down. It was interesting to see. And then I listened post-race to Karen McAvoy saying he wishes he rode this horse this way last start. And yeah, I thought it was interesting. Tommy Berry sort of comes out, looks like he's going to lead, then has a look across and lets him through and lead. Absolutely hands him I'm not saying Tommy Berry hands him the race. The horse has handed the race from that point on, controls the speed completely, and comes home and makes it basically impossible for anything to run him down. There's some decent races. Again, it just doesn't really make sense. Like, the race overall, the time's good off a slow tempo, so I'm not a huge... The form looks good, you know, and it's probably not as taxing a run as what it looked live. Like, it looked like not a prep killer, but a very hard run to back up 7 days off into the slipper. But in hindsight, you know, he's actually only sprinted home the last 3 furlongs, so... This is probably an ideal run into it if you don't think about the issues he had pre-race and what have you. Trying to work out the strength of this race again is quite difficult. You've got the United States was dragged out. State Visits out the back here. Good Hotspur sits 3 and 4 wide, no cover the whole way and runs second. Comedy's given a pretty average there. It's Barbarossa that gets lost in run. And Comedy's sort of okay at the end of the race. So, you know, Extractor was just fair. So I don't really know what to make of this form, But yeah, he's a nice horse. He looks like he's getting stronger every time. He didn't parade poorly physically. He just looked like the occasion sort of got to him, which is not unusual for 2-year-olds, and especially if he's had that issue on the way to the well, he wasn't on the way. He's trained at the track, but in the morning of the race. So winners in front. Second horse is here, 3 and 4 wide, no cover. Its actual run in the lead up was quite good at Canterbury, I think. So it was just a silly price in this race. It wasn't. I don't think there's any fluke in its effort. Third horse back here, State Visit, gets to the outside. United States actually cuts back to the inside. Not really worth looking at their form from a slipper perspective because they're not going to be there. The winner's probably the only one, I think, that's snuck into the race. So, he's done a good job. He's found close enough to the right lane in the straight. He's super strong, sort of ducks out a little bit there, but, he's never in doubt, never weakening. So there's definitely no reason to be against this horse in any way, shape, or form. He's got good race pattern. He's got good early speed, enough to hold a spot probably 3rd, 4th, 5th in a slipper. I doubt they'll get to the front on him in a slipper. If he got to the front, he'd probably be more dangerous. But yeah, just trying to work out the strength of this form, and all these 2-year-old forms have been so difficult because the United States has come from the back against a slow tempo up the wrong part of the track and not been beaten far. Comedy's come through the middle. Extractor, not a lot of luck. This thing's come from last and come wide. Is this the best part of the track? This thing sat wide the whole way and only beaten 3. Trying to work out whether this good enough form to win a slipper or not's quite difficult. You'd usually say it would probably struggle, and this horse would probably be 10 or 15 to 1. That's probably what it'll be. That's the thing, Posty. That's it. When you like, is the fillies form just completely underrated? I don't know. Four out of 5 Lame did it. I did remember reading the Stewards report. Sorry, its name was in there. 2 out of 5 Father's Day. Next race, Extractor. 4 out of 5 Lame in the near hind leg. Holy shit. Well, it doesn't get any worse than that. Yeah, Bella Zane's interesting, and Timmy has had the option, I believe, between North England and Bella Zane, and it's quite interesting because she's gone 1,000, 1,200 now, sort of peaks 1,200 again. I think he's going 1,200 off a break with a little setback straight into a 1,200. She's probably got the little bit better setup, and like I said, the fillies have got the wood on them a little bit, haven't they? The Colts, even though she's come through a different setup than some of the fillies, and yeah, he's riding the Colts. So, but I don't think there was much between them. Winkers, not blinkers. Hey, Spider, long time no see. Yeah, Wetherlaw's done nothing wrong. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, the answer's a pineapple a little bit. I'm definitely not saying this horse can't win the slipper off this. As we talked about, that Rivellino form might be okay. Shaggy form looked strong. Obviously, Shaggy sort of fell off a cliff a bit, but that wasn't too bad. The setup's pretty good. 11, 12, 12, 7-day backup. If he does well, there's nothing wrong. He's come off 2 slowly run 1,200 metre races, so there's no real disaster there, and he's run the fastest last 200 of the day last start. I don't know what he did this week because I said I've got no goddamn times, but we shall see. Anyway, the fillies section, I think, is the time's very similar. They got to it a different way, a lot more solid tempo, but they don't really quicken off the back of it. I would say that this race is not as strong as the Colts, but not a lot in it. I just think he's done a lot more in the last section or two than this race did. It looks like a pretty steady race. Memo, I don't think he's quite up to the grade. I think Stream Side. I think these runners are probably 2 or 3 lengths below the top fillies. Artistic Venture didn't quite measure up. Strata Verna and Gambas are back towards the inside, but they were still a little bit plain. They did go, as you said, a little bit quicker than the other race, but I think the race is quite smelly overall. Karinska gets completely lost in the run again. It's a horse to sort of keep an eye on, potentially. Karinska, it's just been dragged out of 2 races in a row and really never been given a chance. So this is Karinska out wide here. I think this is a nothing race, and I don't think anything's getting to the slipper, so it's not really overly worth concentrating on. Dreamside did one good thing, and that was settle a lot closer this time. Alabama Magic's in the finish too, isn't it? Artistic Venture gets stuck wide, no cover the whole way. Just had no luck its whole career so far, Artistic Venture. It's a horse that can certainly come back. Probably next prep and knock over a few races, I'd say. This is Karinska back to the inside from the back there, but there's nothing really much to highlight here, I don't think. Memo comes down the outside with Alabama Magic. It's not legless Alabama Magic by any stretch. I think they just get to the right part here in a pretty steady race, and you know there's not much between these horses, I don't think. Custom back to the inside, like its form's nothing to write home about. I thought that they were both a little bit disappointing. Gambas obviously stays in the wrong part, but Strata Verena a little bit poor. Open Secret was only just okay last start and sort of battled away again here too. I don't think this is... I think they said Memo's not going to run in the slipper, right? So there's nothing running in the slipper from this race anyway. There's Karinska back on the inside here, just going to the line. Not hard held. Well, hard held there, but pretty much given a barrier trial. Oh, it's not. There's definitely. I think, you know, there's obviously more to it with colts and fillies and, you know, and 2-year-olds and whatever. The decision is not simply just about one horse, one race. You know, even I think she's dangerous when they go to the size or whatever too. I don't know whether he can get back on. It's just it's a tricky decision for. It was just definitely not straightforward. Definitely not straightforward. Paul Snowden did he? That's incredible. Blue Diamond winner in the slipper. I'll have a look at it when I get through these races. I should just have gapped it after it won. Yeah, the tab would have brought it in pretty short, no doubt. But yeah, I don't think we have to worry about the Magic Night. Unless Karinska heads to something like a size or something. It's an interesting horse heading to a size. Still got to improve. Sky High Stakes saved my day somewhat. Definitely didn't bet up on Vauban. Just got to a silly price. I think it ended up getting out to sort of $10, $11 late. Got a little bit hot in the yard, but nothing like he has previously. Probably on par with what he's done previously, but not out of this world. I thought the interesting part that no one really knew what he was going to do, whether he was going to try and race a little bit more forward, being in Gay's stable now, whether he was going to be able to keep up over 2,000 metres. You know, it was quite an interesting horse. The blow was so significant. Sort of, I thought $4 seemed a not generous price, but a very realistic price. And when it gets to sort of $11 without a significant move or a horse that they got, like obviously Lindemann was the horse that was 1 + 1 is 2. He's going to be up on speed. He won third up last time. You know, he's going well. It made sense that he started very firm in the market, but the drift is quite weird on Vauban. But yeah, he runs well. Arapaho runs well. I thought Circle of Fire was much better here. Again, a very slow tempo, so good efforts from especially Vauban to round them up. I liked how he sort of quickened, changed leg and quickened again. There's some really good signs for him here, and he's obviously only going to improve going up in trip. So, yeah, it's good to see. Well, it's just he adds another element to the whole carnival, right? And it's good to see him racing well for Waterhouse. I thought it was an interesting choice to go to Gay, and you know, she's just returned the favour. But sort of here, you know, Lindemann looks the winner pretty much. He's controlled completely. They do come home quite fast. I thought Arapaho would struggle to get to him. Arapaho gets to him, and then when Tim sort of pulls out here, you think he's in a lot of trouble. When he sort of ducks in behind him, you think he's in trouble. And when he first hits him, it's quite interesting. He definitely lengthens quite quickly here, and you think, well, here he's going to get to him, and then he sort of levels out, and then he sort of gets going again late and really picks up there. I thought he just really finds another gear late, so it's hard to say that he'll get a faster tempo next time, because some of these staying races are just run at crawling speeds now. But if he does get a more genuine tempo, you think he'd only appreciate it. And yeah, I thought Circle of Fire was much better. That's as good as I've seen Circle of Fire go. For a while, Land Legend was probably the horse that was most disappointing. I don't know if he pulled up with an issue. Land Legend said the gelding was one pace, no straight far, no abnormality. Kinesiology reported. That's interesting. Land Legend, Jay McDonald reported the gelding was one paced. Kinesiology, Jay McDonald reported the horse did not appear to stretch out, so I don't know how many he rode both horses. That's a good effort. Good old stewards. The old J McDonald double. He's ridden both horses. Anyway, he rode Land Legend. As Gay trained for races, I think she has not significant amount of horses, but she has trained for them. Couldn't tell you any good ones off the top of my head, but I'd know that she definitely has. I reckon these high price horses are Moddy Hauler, and they say, well, the high price ones, Laney, they just want to win one race, really, don't they? And then send them back where they came from and turn them into a money making machine. They're not. Yeah, it's just it's tricky. But I think with Skyhawk they paid a lot of money for. I think. So I'm not sure the plan for Vauban. He's going to the 2400 metre race, isn't he? So he'll be competitive there. Lindeman's run was fine. I think that's as good as Lindeman goes, and Arapaho is absolutely flying. Yeah, they'll all be competitive, and you'd think Circle of Fire's on the way to the Sydney Cup, so it'll be hard to beat there again. Would the breeding industry and racing industry survive if everyone took a hard pass on this as 2-year-olds for future sons? Well, our breeding system right now is, right, we breed to first season styres. They pump the heck out of the first season sire prices to make them look attractive over and over again. That's the system, and that's it. Just hammer them. So, we're retiring them early, straight to stud, pumping out first season sires. You've got your Schnitzels and your written tycoons for ridiculous money, and there's not much in between. Your Iron Invincibles or whatever. There's not much in between. You've either got first season sires or them, or you can find one or two more. Maybe, I'm not sure. I'd be going there with Lindemann. So it's a complete nightmare, and I think it's definitely weakening that sort of thing. Like you're breeding two weak horses on occasion, like your capitalists and horses like that. They're sort of I would say, prime example of a 2-year-old that was nothing to look at, a bit of an overachiever, right place, right time, gone to stud, and I think that I don't think he's doing any favours to the breed. If that's probably a harsh way to say it, but anyway, I use him as an example of what the industry is at the moment. So we're retiring him early. If not, we're selling our decent geldings or any horse that's not extremely well bred or looks like being a stallion. We're selling them to Hong Kong very quickly, especially if they're geldings, whether it be out of trials or 1 or 2 starts. The only things we've got left are mares or horses that we import, which is laughable too, which is normally mile plus horses. So yeah, our sprinting ranks have really copped a hiding. weight for age races, it makes sense that they're, you know, semi-dominated by mares because they're the only horses that are allowed to progress here. Otherwise, you know, they're sold off, and it's only if a gelding like Mr. Brightside or something lands in the right set of hands that they're allowed to, or Alligator Blood, or, you know, there's not too many of them left here. It's just a vicious cycle. It's only getting worse and only getting weaker. And there's no one going to boycott two-year-old racing or whatever. They're just really greedy. You know, everyone's too greedy for that, and it's just the mind boggles the money that's just spent on these yearlings and how they keep getting people to put their hands up. It's just craziness. But anyway, it is what it is. Far lap stakes. So this race here, this is going off the official times, which I said I don't have verified times yet, but they sort of gone 26 lengths below to the 600 metre mark. So that's like 4.5 seconds, basically. 4.5 seconds below what they normally would for this sort of standard race, this sort of track and distance. So literally a not competitive race. And the problem is, again, devil's advocate, tin hat wearing sort of stuff here. This is Lazura here. This is the two stablemates, Declishi Boulevard and Moving Out, that are drawn gates to roll forward naturally, right? In a slow run race, James McDonald, if you had him one-on-one on a lie detector before the race and you said, James, where would you like to be in this race, knowing that he's smart enough to know that there was no leader, there was nothing. There was no horse that could keep up a gallop. And he's going to take this horse to last, especially 6-4 favourite. Like, look at the vice-like grip he has to get on it to try and restrain it in behind horses. And, you know, the other horse the same, Moving Out. So I'm definitely not saying there's anything untoward, but it's not competitive racing. Like, they've literally taken their chances to win the race away at the start, and it makes absolutely no sense to do so. Anyhow, it is what it is. From a review standpoint, they basically faced impossible tasks, and I thought they both put up really credible efforts. I actually didn't think this horse was too bad either. Real Class, it runs second last. Even Powers of Opal wasn't too bad either, back towards the inside. But I think, you know, these two horses out the back were very, very good. It's hard to really gauge how strong this race is. I thought Wonder Boy was only fair. So they didn't even quicken like from the 8 to the 6 that much, but the horse from out the back have already tried to sort of go a little bit early, and Lazura's is, you know, suited by a sit sprint. He probably held on to it a bit long, if anything, to be honest, but because it's got such a nice little turn of foot, it was able to put the race away. The Clichy's died on its run late, and Moving Out, well, it hasn't died on its run, it's still sprinting home sharply, and Moving Out's only just getting warmed up through the line. So I thought its effort was really good. You know, I probably think whichever horse had this horse's run wins the race. 1, 2, 3. It was the one that was devil's advocate. It was its turn this week. It was the horse that was designated to roll forward while the other two dragged out in a race with no speed. So it is what it is. Trying to work out the strength of the race is not easy. Just sort of going off what we saw previously. You know, they're probably 2, 3, 4 lengths behind Lady Shenandoah, Lady of Camelot. That's probably where they fit in. This horse is a newcomer, and so is this one back towards the inside here with Power of Opal. And they look like they're going to be very interesting when they get out in trip, Moving Out, Real Class, Power of Opal. So, you know, they're completely unsuited by the way they were ridden and the tempo of the race. And I thought they all sort of got through the line pretty good. And obviously a slow run race, it's highly unlikely that run will take much out of any of them, so they'll progress through it pretty well. Far lap stakes, minus 17, minus 8 to the 4, minus 4, plus, yeah. Yeah, well, J-Mac rode to the stewards map, but that's not his job. J-Mac's there to ride his horse to the best of its ability. I was amazed that before the race, they came out with a change of tactics for Moving Out to be ridden the same way it was in New Zealand. So what is that? Why are they? That's really weird. To me, reaffirming that you're going to come out with negative tactics in a race devoid of speed is very strange. Like, if I owned a horse and they came out and confirmed tactics that were against giving it its best chance in the race that it was about to run in, I'd be like, what? Yeah, I love Treasure of the Moment too. Huge fan of Treasure of the Moment. Big, strong, and what she's got natural speed, right? Her best asset is she's got natural speed. She can quicken off it. She can maintain a sprint. So she's bomb-proof in races like that. Like, I can't tell you what Treasure of the Moment would have done to those horses there. All right, Morris McCartan, another really weird race. There was a late scratching of Omni Man. They don't go slow here, but they quicken off a below average tempo, a low average speed, and quicken off it. They actually run fast time overall. It looked like there were 6 leaders here. Yeah, well, there you go, and I can guarantee that's not what instructions were. Yeah, this was weird. This was weird. You sort of had Mogo Magic leader, the face leader, Insurrection leader drawn wide. No change of tactics. Quick tempo set outside leader last start. Cold Crushers, obviously a leader, but mainly over sort of 1400 or 1200. Felix Majestic is adaptable, but has good speed. Piscinello's not. Was always going to be ridden off speed. Time to Boogie, drawn inside, has speed, and Eagle Nest has speed. And then they all come out and look over their shoulder. But, to the winner's credit, it certainly went better than probably what I thought it would. It got a lot better run than I thought it would. Weird ride, I thought, on the Godolphin horse. Like, not saying it, jumped well. He was always going to restrain the horse. I just don't know why they restrain. It drives me crazy. In sprint races, restraining is like giving away ground. If you naturally drift back or they run away from you, no problem. But restraining, I've got an issue with, because you are literally giving away free kicks. You know what I mean? It's just not. It doesn't really make sense to drag back. They interviewed. I thought this was an interesting one. I'll actually, can I just show that? If I go, what did I just do there? I'll put that back up there. If I just change to placing bets. Is that? Yeah, that's easier. So yeah, another cracker, I thought. Here, Insurrection passing the 800. So when questioned regarding settling behind, Mr. that he was instated anticipated fast tempo, and from an outside barrier he was instructed to ride Insurrection near midfield with cover if possible. He said, however, when Mogo Magic in the face did not show the speed that he felt, then this resulted in Insurrection being obliged to settle further back in an endeavour to gain cover. So rather than go, okay, well, they're grabbing hold, I'll go forward, you're going, well, I'm going to go even further back. The trainer confirmed the instructions issued and advised that the outside barrier felt the horse would have to work too hard to obtain the lead. I was reminded of his obligations. So, yeah, they've literally had a change of tactics but not told anyone. And what's happened is Mogo Magic obviously didn't begin the best, but the face and everyone, they've all had changes of tactics too. They've all thought 6 leaders, we're all going to grab hold, and they've just grabbed hold to the max. So yeah, you can see the faces come out really neutral. Quick Tempo's come out really neutral. Cold Crush's come out really neutral, and Rachel was the only one who had the balls to roll forward and take it up, and it's one of the race. So even Time to Boogie, you can see getting keen in behind. It probably could have held the front with any sort of early pressure as well. So they've all thought, well, there's 6 leaders, we're going to grab hold. Tommy ends up last instead of probably outside leader, and this is Piscinello, who looked like it was going to get a fast tempo to play with, backing in an awkward spot on the back of a 20-1 chance. So I just thought his riding was shit. Hang on, wrong screen. Sorry. That's why you don't change screens when you're here. So sorry, this is the start. So yeah, he just sort of drag. They've all come out neutral, and Rachel's the only one that's shown any positivity and won the race. So that's basically the end of the race. You can look at Mogo Magic and all these horses back in the race over racing. Just craziness. And and the only run on horse is stuck in an awkward spot too. He probably would have been better off 3 wide up outside him. But I just thought he looked very casual, and I don't know whether he's cuddling up for any reason, but whether he's misjudged the tempo that he expected that they're going to come back to him because he expected it to be a fast tempo, and because they didn't go quick, then he's just thought, I'll just cuddle my way there, but he sort of missed the boat a bit. His effort was very, very good. But yeah, the first 3 across the line have done a good job. The race was just a very weird race where I think all the jockeys outthought themselves, and not jockeys, but connections outthought each other and basically handed the race to Rachel, and she was the only one who grabbed it by the scruff of the neck. But it was a good performance as well. I'm on the stewards report. Oh, sorry, that was for the thing. Sorry. Yeah. So another race where I think the rides had a big part of it. Rachel's definitely the best ride there. Coolmore Classic, J-Mac won this race. A huge effort from Lady of Camelot and Firestorm. The tempo's even, but on this day, obviously, even tempos look like they were, strong tempo. So it was a bit of a weird day. You definitely could run on when it was a bit of an even tempo. Amelia's Jewel was a bit plain. Josh said something about sort of some jostling early cost it. Haven't looked at it close enough. Al Safina was pretty plain. Curve-Lamp was pretty plain. Manal was okay, ridden forward. Thought it was a good option to do that. Again, Michael Friedman in a little bit of trouble for a semi-change of tactics there to be ridden a little bit more positive, and I didn't think she expected to be in front, but that's where she ended up. Lentia was okay. I think she showed herself up as that's as good as a Lentia can go. She's a length or 2 off a very good horse, and that's what we saw here. Lady of Camelot was just a monster, and as you said, sort of Firestorm was a monster. I don't think there's much between the top 3, and that's the wrong race.
Ready. Set now. And they're off and racing.
Lady Shenandoah just a little bit, Lady of Camelot just a little bit on the back foot out of the gates and not quite showing the... It's weird. You think the horse with sort of 1,100 metre speed's going to be easily quick enough to cross horses here, and you think of her as a much faster horse than Manal, but whether she's sort of just getting deeper into the prep and losing a bit of early speed, she struggled to sort of take the spot, and you can see Tim trying to find the back of Lady Shenandoah here, and McDonald sort of poking forward. You can see Tim's about to take that slot there in front of Valentia, and then J-Mac's just smart enough to bloody grab hold and come in and get on the back of Al Safina, and you can see that Tim was eyeing that spot, and that's probably again what won at the race. So it's a game of inches this game, and I thought it's quite interesting. You can see Tim here, you can see him looking to take that spot and hoping that Lady Shenandoah is just going to poke forward, and J-Mac just in time grabs hold, takes the initiative to take the spot, and that's probably what won him the race, and that's why he's as good as he is. So Tim sort of copped the back end of it, and now he's caught wide, and there's not much you can do about it. Again, see, the difference to me is he didn't grab hold. He sort of just let the horse stride. Obviously, 1,500 metres is a lot harder to do that. I'm not saying it was a good ride by any stretch of the imagination. It was, the horse was set a huge task, but I'd much rather that than have seen a drag back behind Firestorm is what I'm saying, and the horse has just run out of its head. But Firestorm's out the back here, so winner's in the middle, gets the best run you've ever seen. Second horse out the back, third horse, fourth horse cutting through every possible chance of Lentia. Not too many excuses for the beaten brigade. I didn't think you could sort of say back towards the inside, but I don't think they were good enough. huge effort, Firestorm. Jeez, it's flying. Like, that first up run, I was saying, like, thinking Scarlet Oak and those horses should have, were entitled to finish off the race well and probably win from where they were, and this horse got over the top of them quite easily. Its 2 runs back have been great, and it has put in some huge efforts. It can put in a bit of a funny run every now and then. But yeah, she's a genuine Group 1 horse now. Obviously, the first 3 across the line they'll go to where? Coolmore, Legacies, Doncasters, Queen of the Turfs. There's all sorts of races. I don't even know if they're the same race that renamed. I'm just looking at races in the coming weeks. They'll find a race for all of them. Geez, I'd be putting Firestorm in the Doncaster if it was mine. Astro, g'day. Yeah, those sort of draws were important, weren't they, Paul? But I still think they were the right horses. Maybe if they drew 1, 2, 3, they might have been in a little bit more trouble. But I think they were the right horses. I couldn't really make excuses to say that draws or gates or runs in transit really made up for anything. They kind of all had their chance. Yeah, I think that's probably a smart thing to do. Close to it. That's what I'd be leaning to doing that if I was. She's got nothing to prove in a race like the Doncaster or the Coolmore Legacy or anything. She's done enough. I'd be putting her away. She's worth a lot of money, and he's got so many other horses to fill a place in those sorts of races. He's got no need to push the boundaries. It's a good question, Winston, and I don't know whether she's just racing out of her skin, isn't she, Lady of Camelot? And she's just surprising everyone as she gets up in distance. She's running really well. She's sort of sticking with these fillies, if not, overachieving, or is she just as good as them or better? Or, I don't think there's much between them. The last 2 runs we've seen, Lady of Shenandoah's had the better run on both occasions. There was a faster run race last time. Lady of Camelot sat outside the leader and was only just nutted by her, and then this time around she sat wide on an even tempo, and Lady Shenandoah's had the soft run and only beaten home a length. So, you could make a huge case that she should have probably beaten her home 2 runs in a row. There's definitely not much between them, is there? I don't think it'll run in the Rosehill Guineas. I think it'll run in the Vinery Clip Treasure of the Moment. And she looked like she was half cast at the start of this prep. They only gave her a 1 or 2 week break trying to get her to that, what was the race? There was a race leading into, was it Magic Millions race that they tried to get her to, where she got a bit of a sore back and ran 2nd or 3rd in that race. And it kind of looked like the jury was out on her. And then, yeah, she's just such a tough filly, Lady of Camelot. Such a tough horse. Another redonkulously slowly run race here. Again, it was kind of hard to tell watching these races how fast or slow they were going. It looked like they ran along pretty even in this race, and I think in the run you would have been pretty happy with yourself being on, say, Ducasse in the run here, and then all of a sudden Willow Dow and Iron and Merc paired off and they couldn't get near them, and then you see the sections and it made sense. I don't think they ran home significantly quick here to say this race was any good. I think it's a very average edition of this race. I'd be very surprised if this form, well, especially the first 2 across the line, measured up to a Doncaster. I'd be much more interested in Ducasse in a Doncaster getting up to a mile off this run, and even then, I don't think it's that exciting. I just think it's the horse in the race that could appreciate a fast tempo in a mile next time out, whereas, sit sprint here, it just looked like it was a little bit one-paced, and, back and inside obviously wasn't great either. But, I just joked around all week with the boys saying if you can win this race if you can get Iona Merck to win 1,500, Bjorn Baker should be the Prime Minister. But the tempo allowed it to happen. There's no doubt about that. So, Pericles, I didn't think travelled at any stage, never really looked comfortable, always niggled to get up on speed and never really travelled. I don't think Pericles is at his best, whatever that issue he had first up, he's not over it. You can sort of see he just doesn't look great and never really travelled, whereas Iona Merck's I know it's a sprinter pretty much in comparison to Pericles, but he just never really travels for mine. Pericles, he never really looked likely. Ducasse looked like he was towing up and going to be in the finish, but the two in front just completely out-sprint him. Oh, there was a funny ride here, and I get in trouble for picking on jockeys, but watch the ride on New Endeavour here. That was quite crazy, and I gave her a huge rap for a ride on Eagle's Nest, but for why she's grabbed hold of this horse, and then she's in on the back of Just Fine on New Endeavour, and it's a huge run in the race. So here she is here on, and she, for whatever reason, she eases and lets Freedom Rally, and you can see her sort of looking across at Freedom Rally and eases to let Freedom Rally in front of New Endeavour. And you watch where, so New Endeavour should have been, well, at least on the back of Just Fine, and look where it ends up. So it's now third last. Ends up last in a minute, and watch its run. It should have been in the finish, New Endeavour. It was one of the better runs of the day. Anyhow, at this point, first and second up the front, controlling, ridiculous speed. Ducasse gets to the right part of the track, no excuses for him, just completely out-sprinted. And this is New Endeavour coming through the middle here. So even gets chopped out for a run here, and can't get to its top speed. Now finally gets a gapping and has to sort of pick up. I thought its run was incredible. So it's a horse that could end up in a Doncaster and run a race. I thought it was one of the better runs of the day, New Endeavour. Definitely could argue that it probably should have won. Would have still struggled to overcome that tempo, but I think it finishes very, very close to the winners with a normal ride. Sunlight was the race you're thinking of? Was that the gold? Yeah, is that the Gold Toe slot race? Yep. Yep, Private Harry race. Yep. So yeah, I thought it was one of the runs of the day, New Endeavour. Yeah, I don't think the first two will trouble the scorers in a Doncaster if they head that way. I don't think West of Africa will. I don't think Pericles will. I really don't think Ducasse will either, to be honest. I think New Endeavour's probably the only one that you could back it, but I could see Ducasse running a race at big odds. The last is a pretty run-of-the-mill race. Not much to report here, I didn't think. Not much between. You're sort of 2.5 lengths for the first 7 or 8 across the line. Harlem Queen was a pass mark first up. Levon Pier found the right run. I think it was a blessing in disguise getting crossed early and ended up with a bit of cover. Kind of looked and didn't look the winner. His sort of style just doesn't really have that turn of foot to put a race away. It's an even, solid tempo. Time's okay, the race is okay. These horses will be competitive in similar races. It did look a competitive race, like there's 7 or 8 runners that are within 2 lengths of each other on ability, and that's how they ran to. So, yeah, Mr. Bojangles out, he's getting a bit keen in the run. Private Legacy, I thought, was pretty poor. So, off the bit really early, Harlem Queen. So, that, yeah, I think that's a good sign to say that, you know, her effort is more than fine, just completely outsprinted here over 1400s, looking for probably 1800, 2000 metre range. Miss Coover coming up the inside. Again, the race doesn't look super strong, does it? Bojangles flying. I think this is an 1,000 metre, 1,100 metre group horse, to be honest. I think they're missing the mark with this horse completely, Bojangles. I'd love to see it down the straight. 1,200 metres down the straight, I think it could win a really good race, Bojangles. So, but it is. I think it's racing in that provincial midway series or whatever. So it's run second there. It's kind of got to run in these sort of races, but I don't think this is its forte. And these horses, this is what they are. You know, Levon Pier's probably a little bit better than these horses. That's representative of how it finished. Harlem Queen's the only horse with significant upside. Levon Pier's got a little bit of upside. This horse has got significant upside over more ground, very lightly raced. And these horses, that's about what you see is what you get, I'd say. Miss Coover, watch My Girl, Cinquettore, Glynis Silva, Dalalart. What you see is what you get. Mate, I don't. Every race is different, as you know, and it's just some jockeys. I think a lot of jockeys just go too slow. They don't understand that it doesn't really aid them as their horse, or like I would say 90% of horses aren't suited. You aren't riding it to its optimum, going as slow as you can in the lead, you know, unless you're taking off at a certain stage or building into a race. It completely depends on the makeup of the race and the makeup of your horse and its actual qualities. But going too slow on most horses in a leading position isn't always the best way to ride it. Yeah, I wonder what that is, Paul, and it's obviously had a weird race for this horse to show up in. I wonder what the story is with that horse, because obviously showed enough to be nominated for just about everything, right? So I don't know what's going on there. And you would assume, you know, obviously Oaks is, and maybe Queensland Oaks, Paul? You would assume that's the path she's on, Queensland Oaks? I'd say that's where she's heading. That they've just sort of, something's happened. She's not going to be up and running for Vineries and that sort of races. Royal Patronage. There was no fluke to Royal Patronage win the other day. The race in Melbourne was the only race worth looking at, was that one race, wasn't it? Again, she went a bit quicker than I thought she did. Prior to Jenny. I don't know what the story is with the replay here, but I've only got it from this sort of stage. I thought Newitt did a good job, sort of let the horse get into its rhythm. She's obviously pulling away to the front basically here. I think the only thing worth arguing about in this race is whether Jamie Carr probably could have stuck to the back of Bois d'Argent a little bit more and then sort of arguably is in the finish of the race if she does so. I think that's the only real talking point out of the race, other than the winner going extremely well off a... It actually doesn't make sense to me. If this horse has only had one jump out and a very light preparation heading into an 1800 metre race first up, where she was actually able, like it looks like she's going slow and controlling the speed and they're handing the race, they're not. She's doing a normal thing where she's going quite a few above and still running fast time overall. I thought that's where Jamie Carr loses the race here, is where she gets detached. Whether it would have been a big task to maintain that spot, she could have finished off, no one will ever know, but you know, I think that's the only real talking point in the race, other than the winner being an exceptional horse. That if it's one off the preparation they've said it's had, it's just an incredible win. I can't think of too many horses that could do this. And the betting said, like, look at him looking over his shoulder. He must have just been like he's been around a long time, Newitt. You know, having looks and looks and looks is quite incredible. So he's still looking. I don't really know what he was looking for, but they weren't there. And then Zardozi sort of gets into a work late and cuts the margin a little bit, but not significantly. Definitely can't say she was a certainty beat. But, yeah. Well, that's what but that's the thing, Paul. Like you probably want to. It's not a fast horse, is it? It's not a fast horse, Bois d'Argent. So, like, I think it's not that dangerous trying to stick to his tail a little bit and slipstream him, and let him do the work, dragging you up as far as it can. Well, nothing else was going to drag you in. There was nothing up there. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just all thought that the same as what I did. That Prodigy had come back to him a bit. Yeah, Vauban won, Moscow. Bless its heart. Yeah, not a lot to learn there. This week's races are definitely probably more exciting talking point than anything. Will I bring them down? I'll bring them down because then I can type in horses' names and look at them on the same screen. Tab's probably easiest. There's a million races, isn't there, this week? Are they futures still? Yeah. Golden Slipper, Rosehill Guineas, William Reid in Melbourne, George Ryder. There'll be a lot. Gee, I tell you that. I know the hype horse, and it's not as if no one's heard of it, but I'm very interested to see Briassa versus Private Harry. I think Briassa will be going very close, personally. If it was Randwick, no, it's not Randwick. I think she'd win, but I think she'll still go very close. And when I say she, I mean he. Yeah, this gold supermarket's quite interesting, isn't it? Like, how the hell can Woden be favourite? It's just insanity. I don't understand. Unless they're holding a lot of money for it early, from when McDonald was, when it was sort of raging hot favourite, and they just don't need to blow it out because they've already got so much money out of it. It makes no sense that Woden's favourite, whether it's got winkers, blinkers, or a diving helmet on. It will make no difference. It doesn't make sense that this horse can be favourite. Tempted certainly has to be close to favourite, I would say. Devil Knight's interesting. Rivellino. So Rivellino, 1,000, 11, 12, really good setup. Trial in between, solid. It's been up in work for a while. But, post-Christmas, a lot of people say it's very hard to win when you haven't had a run pre-Christmas. This season's, pretty tricky. I wouldn't be too worried about that. Regressed a little bit from a rating standpoint last time, but that was off a slow tempo, off a solid tempo, back to a slow tempo. That was a bunchy sort of race. If you bracket it with Skyhook, it's hard to say that it doesn't have a good chance. So, I definitely think Rivellino's a player. Where is it? Yeah, Within the Law's the same. Bella Zane's got a good chance. North England, I think, can improve. King of Pop, I think, is a horse that if it draws 3, 4, 5, it's going to be right there, and it's got to turn a foot to be very dangerous. I couldn't have Quietly Arrogant, even though it ties in with all that Rivellino form, doesn't it? Mahuna was good. It's like there's too big a gap. How is Mahuna 25-1 and Woden's $4.50 coming out of a faster run rate? Like, this makes no sense. Even Tycoon Star, 25-1 and Woden makes no sense. Like, how is that possible? It's very weird betting. It's very weird betting, but I think Tempted's a starting point in the race. I don't know what to do with Devil Knight, to be honest. Is it at a trial or something since? Is it K or not? Is it NIGHC? Hasn't trialled in Sydney. Did it trial down there? Well, it got to 10-1 too, Moscow. That was probably the thing that would have hurt you a little bit. Tupacar seems like it's had a weird prep. It's just missed a run or something. I agree, it went well the other day. So he hasn't had a jump out or anything since. So I don't think that's ideal. I don't think that's a great sign for Devil Knight, but it is fairly lightly raced. It definitely can't say it can't win. And that I think Tenterus, or whatever it was called, would have gone into this race pretty much nearly certainly favourite. So got to take it seriously. Yeah, I think you're right in this with a chance. You're right in with this with a chance, Rivellino. I couldn't. I don't. Yeah, I don't want to be mean, but it's not the horse I'd be hanging my hat on. Ideally, I definitely think once we get a look at riders and draws, this race will be very interesting because there's just too much value early here, potentially. So if you take a set, say, against Skyhook, with Skyhook, against Tempted, with Tempted, just the way this market is at the moment, there's too much value here that when everything's known, draws and the like, and riders, there'll still be value there. So I think we just wait and see here. because I don't think it'll be vastly different to this. It'll just be we'll just have more information to work with, which is the key to the race. I think there's just not enough between a lot of them. Rosehill Guineas. This is 10 to 1 was a lot of. Yeah, it was 10 to 1 late. 10 to 1. Yeah, again, this is like Gold Rush Guru was great the other day. Swift Falcon was pretty solid against broadsiding last start. Again, I just couldn't have broadsiding this clear a favourite. $2 just seems ridiculously short. It's had everything go its way at both runs this time in, and you know, it won okay, and then last start was beaten on its merits. I don't think there's anything, you know, we're chiming into here early, nothing too surprising, no early price to charge into, you know, just ridiculous. You know, the price is just too short to worry about doing anything with. It's a good contest, but I think it'll be very similar to last start. Rosehill Guineas, William Reid, Jimmy Star, $2.80. Jesus Christ. How hollow is that race? Like, that's a Group 3. That's a Group 3, and that's the problem with our sprinters at the moment. Like, it's a Group 2. I'm being mean. It's a Group 2. I thought it went really well, Brendan. It just probably had the edge out of it compared to the sprint it showed first up. Was ridden a little bit closer. I thought it went quite well. Yeah, I think it'll improve again. It's definitely physically the horse that's got the most improvement in it out of it versus broadsiding. It's a much neater sort of horse that would come to handle a lot quicker broadsiding. I think there's more improvement in Swift Falcon, and I think he'll be close to his top. Yeah, that's a problem. That's the problem with it. It's more looking at these races for the contest they're going to be rather than betting opportunities. I don't think there really are too many. They just suck the life out of them. So Royal Patronage, how far is this? Is it 1,400? 1,500, the George Ryder? $1,500. 1,500 second up's a long way for Royal Patronage. I probably, if it was 1,300 or 1,400, I'd be much keener. Gringotts went like a Learjet first up. I know this is a step up in grey, but it literally went like a rocket first up. Steffi had excuses. Tom Kitt flying. J.L. Wolf, I don't think 1,500 metres at this stage of its prep's ideal for it. Fangirl's Fangirl. I don't think there's much there. There's nothing down in the, past Gringotts that I think could trouble them. So again, that's another race. It's probably wait and see. I don't think there's anything to step into. Yeah, who knows, Brendan? That was ridiculous. Yeah, I think they should have run Jimmy last week or whatever it was, the week before, wasn't it? Yeah, I think Jimmy Star will go close. It was just so dominant last time. Only the track will probably beat it, like you say, a weird draw around that track or something. Rosehill Guineas, what do we got? Rambert Stakes. They reckon this could be... They reckon this doesn't have a field at the moment. They'll obviously fill it. But, it'll probably be via Sistina Dubai on a Faulkner Park, and then who? There's not much... He'll find a few runners to put in it, I'm assuming, but it's not going to be a big field, this race, and Via Sistina is going to start something like that sort of price. Galaxy. So yeah, it's just $5 each way. I think $5 each way Briassa is nearly bulletproof. You're going to get, front page, you're going to get good speed. The horse has got enough speed. Even its trial the other day, I know the other horse is fast, and its tactical speed's going to give it a good advantage, but this horse is not slow. Yeah, I don't think it's running.
Nest, they've drawn the inside gate.
This is Briassa.
They're off, use it, hit it,
So this is Eagle's Nest.
Briassa on receive.
She's, you know, like this is a trial, but
Underneath them, you can all care.
has good gate. They're not going to give too big a start away unless it draws horrifically.
And Briassa third. Beanie needs some luck. 2 lengths away to Mad Darcy. So the pace looks all right here. Eagle Nest.
But this, like, even for a trial, they come home sort of 9 lengths above.
Briassa's been in a stalking run.
For a trial, they come home quick. Trial sectionals, but they come home quick, and just love the way this horse.
Closing off well.
Like, she's not been I don't know why I think it's a girl, but
Briassa now moved up under a
I think of most grey horses girls.
Sheila. He's different.
Like, look at the way it gives it a little squeeze, and
Briassa dashed.
just love its action. Just love everything about this horse. It's just a real line finder that,
Oh, many lengths to
you know, I'd much rather take $5 each way.
Briassa now moved up under a pretty good grip there from Tyler Schiller.
I just can't see it not running very, very well. Private Harry's obviously a very fast horse. I just think this horse has got progression to go to another level again. I looked at Sportsbet. I think was the place I only looked at. I looked at the tab and I looked at Sportsbet. I think Sportsbet were $5. I think you'll get $5. I think Private Harry will start very short. So I see it's a 461.85. It's gone off. I wouldn't. Yeah, I think it'll start very short. Private Harry. Jetabil's dangerous as well, but Jetabil's a bit of a one-trick pony. As you know, it's got a really short sprint and needs a lot to go its way. If it gets exposed or it has to come around them, it's in a lot of trouble. If it draws the right gate and gets the right run, it's very dangerous, but it's not bulletproof. Jetabil. Sunline Stakes at Tissue Road to yuck. No, thank you. Not even going to bother looking at that one. What else have we got? Birthday card. Pardon me. Derby Munro. Pona. Is this all on the same day? Holy cow, they got some races. Commemorative in the birthday card. She was dominant last start against these sorts of horses. Can't really see a horse there that wants to turn the tables, but $2.80 commemorative is about as short as you ever want to take. Springly, no. Autumn Glow, no. It won't run, will it? Overriding Drifting. Look at these horses. None of them are going any good. Coco Jambo's dangerous, but not much of a horse. Outback Miss is, I just don't think, as good a horse as commemorative. Tashi's been in the wilderness for a long time. Well, the wind's dangerous if it lobs there, but I think they've scratched it a few times and things have been going on with it. You'd think commemorative would be very hard to beat there. Front page is going to the Galaxy, yeah. Dubai World Cup night, not for me. I struggle to keep up with bloody racing in New South Wales by myself. Autumn Glow, $1.90. Yeah, like Imperial Force, no. Perspiration first up. Scratched the other day because it got updated to a good track. Enrich was good in a slowly run race the other day. Gangster Granny was good in a slowly run race. They're two progressive enough sort of horses. They're pretty dangerous if Autumn Glow's not at its best. And that's about it. There's nothing else there, is there? Growing Empire won't go there. Ikasara. Ikasara's first up. I think it's going okay. Another one, wait and see. But the Gangster Granny was good the other day and Enrich was okay. L'Esprit Dealer was in and found its race the other day. How am I liking streaming? Yeah, it's alright. It's good. I don't know what Astapor, what are you talking about? Epona Stakes. Oh my god, Merrimount Bull is flying. How is Hinged $4.50 in anything? How does this horse keep coming up prices like this over and over again? Bookies must have made $1 bazillion out of Hinge. The only time it's ever won was when it was short last prep. when it sort of found that race it had to win by default. Again, it's Rosehill. That's probably the only thing that'll beat Mare of Mount Buller, but she is flying. Sounds of Heaven. Be Real was good the other day. Bridget Girl, I wish I had a one at Kembla the other day. Molly Bloom. Genzana not going that well. Barchio Del Mist, my God. The opponent's 1900, isn't it? I think Mare of Mount Buller will just about win that race. You'd think McDonald will be back on it. What price did they bet? 350 opened. The problem is with Wally, you never know whether he's actually going to run them in, what race they're going to run them in. But if she shows up in that race, I'd expect her to just about win. All right, anything else to look at before I run away? Just go all in Twinkling Star. Tomorrow, Hawkesbury Race 2. Build a bank for the weekend. Twinkling Star. By Fast Track at Kembla. The Mighty Reggie. Jeez, it had full control. It's had full control of the race there.
One is the Mona Lisa. Here a fast front from Twinkling Star. Set turns you can now ask to run on down the start.
Oh, this is this first starter of O'Shea's or whatever, yeah. Problem is this horse had the tempo against it. This horse sat closer and it was fitter and
Fast Track's just in front and she'll win.
Fast Track's probably dying on its run there, but it has run very well 2 times in a row. Yeah, I haven't done the race at all. First starters. Blah, blah. Is Reggie on it again? Reggie's on it again. Tuesday, Abby. Susume. Polymnia, $1.30 favourite at Hawkesbury. That's unbelievable. All right, guys, cheers. I'll see you later in the week, Thursday. I've got a few ideas to muck around with there to make it a bit more fun Thursday, so hopefully that'll be good. And we'll know more about the races, talk more about all these races we just talked about. Cheers, have a good night. Thanks for coming along. Spider, good to see you, mate. Don't be a stranger. See you, Laney. Cheers.